Welcome back to Season 2 of the Dune Over. Our cast has kind of changed a little bit. I am Dan, along with my lovely co-host, Jennifer, Comics Will Break Your Heart, and cartoon Syd. Syd is back, and we're joined by Scott Hazelwood, cartoonist. You did October Dune, which it's in my long box, and I couldn't pull it out.
Stuck in the long box?
Yeah, like long box digging. Like I got the package from Jen, and then I filed everything away, and then I forgot what box I put it in. It's a horrible, horrible thing when you're a collector. Like you just have these piles of long boxes everywhere. So we're doing Dune Messiah, and as you know, some of us had some strong feelings about Paul last season. Cidnya, if you're watching or you watch this on replay, I'm mainly talking about you. You had some real feelings about Paul.
Valid feelings, like
yes.
Very, like to me, like that's the point of the book.
He is kind of a shitbag in this as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all he does is complain.
Jen, you wanted to say something before we started, so...
I do. So what I wanted to say was that one of my first reads of Dune was a buddy read with my friend Steve. Was one of my first reads of Dune, and I found out that my friend Steve, his water has been returned to the tribe last Saturday. And Shai Hulud has called him back. And so I really just want to say that I was a friend of Steve's, and he helped me through a really tough time living in North Florida. So thank you. I was a friend of Steve's. So thank you.
Bless the maker and his passing. I think we all, like with books, have a friend who introduced us or buddy read something with us. And like I had a friend who was a huge Frazetta Death Dealer fan, and anytime I see Death Dealer, I'm reminded of him, and he had passed away about 15 years ago, and it's kind of like one of those weird things I always attribute when I see this to them. You're gonna be good to talk about Dune? Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's really good to have those associations sometimes, like you know. When things are fresh, it can be difficult, but it's really nice to have, you know, a rock solid thing from a relationship like that.
Yeah.
I feel like Bradford just mocked me. He went and just dropped something smelly in the box, and I'm like overwhelmed by it.
Nice.
It's like he knew I was talking to Syd. He's like,
typical.
I'm getting back at her.
Not related to Dune whatsoever, but do you know why cats do that? They do it for like kind of two reasons. They do it, one, to establish their dominance, and two, they do it because they think you can't find your way home. So they're like, I'm going to poop on the floor so you get my smell message and find your way home. That's why those are usually the reasons why cats do that, is because they think you're lost and they want you to come home. So every day, like if I leave, my cat Luna leaves a big old turd, and every day, miraculously, I end up coming home, and he's like, you got my poop message. So
I did not know that.
I forget if I was at work or not, but like Syd messaged me a video of my cat just sitting at the door of the guest room, just staring at her.
He was haunting me.
Yeah, he was mad about his room. He still won't go in there.
Spectre. Good. He's gonna be so dramatic.
Very dramatic.
So like before we started, I was talking about like it's so weird to start this book with an interview and then basically going into alternative facts, fake news about the Emperor Paul Atreides.
And so that interview, I think that it serves a purpose because at the beginning, it's 12 years, right?
Yes, 12 years past
the events of the last story. And I think it does serve that thing where it's telling us like what happened in the last book. Like you should 100% read the first book before reading this one. But you can still, if you haven't, you can just still watch us talk about the book. But I think it serves its purpose, but it's really jarring to start off with it.
But I think it was good for them kind of to go into like what Paul's been up to. Where they're like, well, you can't say this about the emperor, like, you know. But he's like, but history will say this. He's like, not our history.
Yeah.
I thought, and they're gonna kill him for it.
Yeah, it's funny that it goes like straight into that. Like the whole kind of like point of this book is like the plot against Paul Atreides. So it goes straight into, spoiler alert, it literally just goes straight into like, we want to kill him, or we want to, you know, kill his heir, or
There is 1,000 times. There is 1,000 times more Princess Irulan.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Like too much screen time.
Not so much for writing this time.
No,
just her. Yeah.
There's some real bitch moments with her and Chani. Like,
okay, look.
Oh no! Like their interactions are fucking fascinating. Like they won't even look at each other.
Maybe this is me just jumping into it, but I think like the main thing that resonated with me with this, like reading the first part of it, is that there's this chapter, because for those of you who don't know, and I was listening to the audiobook as well, and it's pronounced Chaney in the audiobook, and so that throws me off. I'm still going to say Chani, but
How they pronounce Scythale, or is it Scythale or Scythale?
It's Scythale. And they also pronounce it Atreides, and they also pronounce it Sietch instead of Sietch. It's Sietch.
Yeah.
Fucking weird. I don't like it.
Idaho.
Yeah. But for those of you who have not, like, you know, if you're here, this is a spoiler. But in this book, it's Chani, who's the Fremen woman, is Paul's lover, and Princess Irulan is Paul's royal consort, who maybe I'm giving away too much at the beginning, but like the whole thing with this book is like Princess Irulan wants that dick. Paul isn't giving her the dick, he's giving Chani the dick. And there's this moment between Irulan and Chani, and like Irulan's going to Paul, and she's like, bitch, I'm gonna cuck you. I'm gonna cuck you so hard. And then he's like, bitch, I'm already cucking you, bitch.
Yeah.
That was basically all I remember from this. Is that
and he's like, fine, get a male consort.
Yeah.
Fuck them. I don't care. Don't get pregnant.
Yeah, he's given her free reign to do whatever she wants with whomsoever she wants. She just can't have a kid.
Speaking of kid, Dilbot has a baby, and they're adorable.
Baby bot.
Oh, awesome.
Baby
Lil
bot.
Congratulations.
Lil bot.
Congratulations.
Sorry, that was a weird ass segue, but you know.
Speaking of
Irulan does want the dick, though.
Speaking of Irulan wanting the dick, what deeds? Wait, I have a question about that. Do you think, does she want the dick, or does she want the prestige that goes along with this particular dick?
I don't think it's either one. I think,
okay.
first of all, she wants to fulfill her duty to the Bene Gesserit, which is to get that semen.
Right.
Preserve that bloodline.
Yes.
Secondly, I think she just wants a kid. Like,
they're
I
neat.
think that her, you know, because she's been put in this position where she's the royal wife of the emperor, but only in title. She wields no power whatsoever in this empire. She doesn't even receive love from her husband. She can't have the child that she wants to have. And we're kind of starting to see, like, especially with her interactions with with the Reverend Mother when she was in the cell, like.
Oh, when they're
Irulan's
finger signing at
slipping.
each other angrily.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not doing well. Like, she's not doing well on any front. And I think she's just trying to grasp at whatever she can get. And if she could get a baby in her, that would put her in a better light in almost every single, like, front that she's approaching with the Bene Gesserit and, like, within the Royal Empire and, like, with her own family.
And I think she just wants to feel like legitimatized because basically everyone in the Empire is, saying that she's not a legitimate wife, that she's just, a wife in name only, that's literally like the last line of the previous book is that like
she's a wino.
Yeah. And Mama Atreides is basically like Chani or Chani. They'll never be love between them. Like history will remember us as concubine or whatever. And so like I get it, but my solution for all of this is just have a fucking open relationship. Who gives a shit? Just fuck whoever you want to.
Yeah. But
she's allowed to do that.
Yeah.
She honestly, just needs to be on birth control.
And honestly, she probably would stop the birth control if he dropped it in both of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, she's Bene Gesserit. She doesn't even need to be on birth control. She can, like, choose when to ovulate.
Yeah.
Well, no. Oh, so she's been secretly putting stuff in Chani's food.
Yes.
Yeah. So she might stop that if she got...
Which is
right. Yeah.
Was there, correct me if I'm wrong, but
she's having a hard time. She got made into the royal fucking scribe. Leave her alone.
Which I think
loves
she
writing. That's like her ideal job.
The writing is her baby, right? Like I feel like if there was like an Arrakis or businesswoman magazine, there would be like she would be on the front page like, can women have it all? Can they have their career and their family?
She's basically the Stedman of that relationship.
Oh yeah, she would
like
be Anna
Paul's
Winter.
Oprah.
She would be the Anna Winter of Arrakis, right?
Oh,
or she would be totally. Or she would be Oprah or like whatever the written Oprah is.
Hats.
Oh God.
We got lots of whale fur hats.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but in the chapter where they're talking, where Irulan and Paul and Chani are basically having this conversation of like who's gonna cuck the person hardest,
right?
Is like
Stillgar is just like
he's just like
I don't want to deal with this. Not my thing.
Maybe I misunderstood this, but it sounds like Chani, she doesn't know that Irulan has been secretly giving her birth control.
No.
But she's,
from
what I understand, she's like, listen, Paul, like if you don't put a baby in me, like I'm going to go back to Arrakis and I'm going to get some Fremen D if you're not giving it to me. Like from what I understand, she was basically like, I'm going to catch that D either way. Like, I'm going to get pipe laid.
Yeah, and he was like, go ahead, don't get pregnant.
You think Irulan was saying that?
Yeah.
No, from what I understand, Chani was saying that. Like,
I didn't get that from Chani.
I didn't get that.
I thought that was Irulan saying, like, I'm getting D from somewhere. Like, I will cuck the fuck out of you.
So Chani was saying that he
needed an heir.
Well, yeah. So she was like, the typical Fremen wife, like the things that must be done. She's like, you need an heir. Like like it's been 12 years since you became emperor. You can't keep going on without an heir. It's dangerous. Like, so if I can't give you one, give it to fucking Irulan because you gotta fucking have one. But I think maybe what you're thinking of is when she was saying that she's been to the desert and she's spoken to the priests and she's eaten the herbs and like she's done all of these Fremen fertility rituals. Like she's tried every trick in the book that they have, and she's like, and still I'm not pregnant. So now it's time for you to bite the bullet and stick your dick in the princess.
Right. Yeah.
Got it.
That's how I read that. Too,
Okay. The way that I read it was basically like, hey, maybe she was trying to accuse him of not being viral for real. Yeah,
virile.
That he was virile. And so if you're not going to put a baby in me, someone's going to put a baby. Yeah. That's what I got from it. Which I don't
That wasn't my
understand.
read.
That wasn't mine either.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which, from what I understand from all of this, from the whole like Dune world, is that the Bene Gesserit still have their breeding programs. Why the fuck? So they have like stores and stores and stores of genetic material.
They have to start over.
Why can't Irulan just go to like the Arrakis sperm bank? Or
Yeah.
That's a good question. Well, I think,
So-
I mean, well, go ahead. Yeah.
Jessica
So,
fucked it all up.
Well, yeah, Jessica did fuck it all up.
Yeah.
But remember in the last book, shit, what was the guy's name?
Fenrir?
Huh?
Baron Fenrir?
Yes, I
Yes.
think.
Yes.
The one that was hanging out with the bear. Yes,
Yeah.
that
Oh,
one.
yeah. Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
oh, why, yeah.
Go to Hider.
Oh, yes.
Oh, that's
Yes.
Piter. That's Piter.
That one.
Yeah, Piter's the one that's...
No. He definitely also did a lot of ums and ahs.
Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, that was...
Nature
Anyway,
finds a way.
so his wife needed to get the genetic material from Fade Routha, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so like she had to go and fuck him. So it's not like they keep it like in
What
a
a
locker.
shitty gig.
You know? Yeah. She's like, I have to go fuck this teenager.
And you know he's got baggage because of his uncle.
Oh boy.
It's a whole situation.
Yeah. A whole thing.
That's a whole thing.
But
You guys probably covered that already.
The point I'm making is I think based on that, for them to like get Paul's genetic material in the way that they want to have it or whatever,
Mhm.
like it has to be like in a, he has to stick a stick in a Bene Gesserit,
Okay,
basically.
that makes
Yeah.
sense.
There's got to be because it's also
That's my understanding.
because Frank Herbert wanted it to be that way. That's really the answer
Yeah.
that we
Yeah.
don't want to confront.
Yeah, that's where
Also,
my suspension of disbelief ends.
a lot of nudity.
Yeah,
When it's
That-
not really necessary. Like the first scene with Paul, he's just naked the whole time.
yeah.
Hanging
Like
down.
they make one comment about him being naked, and then I just like couldn't
Mm-hmm.
shake it for the rest of the scene. So he like goes to the balcony, and I'm like,
Yes, he walks to the
still
balcony. He's
naked.
like,
Just woo. There's his
And
shy
then-
"Look at my
halud.
visage."
Shylud.
And then there's
It's
the
worm sign.
Yeah,
the
this
worm
is the one.
sign.
Oh, worm
The
sign.
so-called
Yeah, somebody
event
down
one.
in the.
and then there's the chapter with Alia.
Yes. Oh yes.
Yes.
Where she
I had a
gets
lot
out
of
of the
thoughts
bath.
about that. I had a lot of thoughts about that.
She took it up to 11.
This is my.
Oh yeah, she did.
Oh, she did. So that was like when I first read this. The first thing I said to my buddy who had got me to read Dune, I was just like, really like these books, but I know how old Frank Herbert was when we wrote this, and he
How old was he?
well, was he in his like
40s, I think.
40s? Yeah.
Well, the
Older.
girl in the TV movie was ungodly attractive and at least 30 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm reading this going,
That
Six.
played
Yeah.
Alia?
yes.
But
I'm like reading this, I was like, oh, she's 15.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but and that's the thing. I'm just like, Jesus Christ! Like every sci-fi old guy, white writer guy, do you have to make like a barely legal, sexy naked lady in your book that you're empowering, but while you're empowering her, let's see her naked and wet also in this particular. It was very like ooh.
Naked and wet.
Ooh.
Yeah.
While
And then
she's
let's have her
fantasizing.
brother walk in,
Yeah.
and let's
Yeah.
have
And I
her
mean-
brother really just think about this.
Yeah.
Oh, no, when he's
Well,
going,
she's
wow,
fed by
she
it.
is a woman now. I was like,
Yeah, I know.
Bro.
It's
Yeah, that
bad
was weird too.
vibes.
Yeah, that was,
Yeah. And
and then she's dreaming about Apex Himbo fucking Duncan
Mhm.
Idaho Gola.
Look, listen to me. I came to this chat ready to defend her for that particular thing. We cannot blame her for seeing the Duncan
No.
Idaho Gola and being like, I want to touch it.
No, Duncan Idaho is hot.
We would
There's
all
no-
feel the same way. Yeah.
You mean
With those
hate
cyborg
with a
eyes,
Y.
are you kidding me?
Yeah. And I don't want to like
Done for.
not to plug my book, but
plug it.
when I did go to draw Alia of the Knife, I made it a point to cover her up to sort of counter that
Yeah.
because this is what I picture. But
Very cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
I like
just
her headpiece.
that just always just was like, and it made me think of like George R. R. Martin writing Daenerys, and I was always like, ooh, some of the
I
things
know
are
the
a little
excuse
weird.
is going to be, but yeah, she's lived all these lives. Like when she's even talking about sex, she's like, I remember having sex with like 1 million people.
She's
This
like,
is nothing
bitch,
new to me.
I lead the orgies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
but it is so classic, like Kate Beaton, strong female protagonist. If you've ever read those comics, it's Kate Beaton. Yeah, like it's just like, rah! I believe that sex is whatever. It's just like, okay, that's a dude wrote that clearly.
Yeah.
So like my weird standout from this read, Scythale, like
Scythale.
he was fascinating
Let's go
the
with
way he'd pick his forms and
Mhm.
like he'd feel bad about what he's doing. Like even there, like he's like, I shall regret causing death and misery to Muad'Dib.
Mhm. I think he's like, there's a lot of criticisms I've read of like, the Baron in the first book and then sort of in the third book, not to get ahead of people, but how he's sort of like just a normal evil villain. But I feel like Scythale is like we were talking about, I think a little bit earlier, like he's fascinating and he's like a cool villain because he's just kind of like snaking around doing
And they
his
talk
thing.
how the Tleilaxu always leave a way out when they set
Yeah.
traps if you're
Yeah.
smart enough to find it.
Yeah.
And,
Which I
like,
wonder if he'll make it.
there's stuff in here like
We'll see.
when there's the pissing contest between him, the steersman, Reverend Mother Mohiam,
And Irulan.
and Irulan, where Irulan's like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Like, are they testing me? And they're using the voice all
right.
on each other.
Yeah.
And he's like using a certain tone that he knows only Reverend Mother is gonna pick up on, and like it was just fascinating, the back
Bunch
and
of
forth, and
fucking
everybody's like,
nerds.
Edric, shut up. Like basically it was like the
Yeah.
He's
the-
Donnie.
the Big Lebowski. Yeah, he was Donnie from the Big Lebowski. Shut up, Donnie.
Lennon.
Yeah.
I actually, not to make it this all like a comedy sideshow, but I did have
It
a
is.
question for the panel of so with the conspiracy, like who do you think shows up late to that with an iced coffee and is like, sorry I'm late, and they're like, but they have but they bought a spiced coffee
I
on the
feel
way
like
there.
it would be Scythale.
I know, that's what I was thinking too. That's exactly who I thought.
Yeah.
Too. Like, he's that one, but then he's also like the ringleader. So it's amazing, right?
Long line at Starbucks. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
he's like so many project managers I've had in the past. Like just like,
Yeah.
here's the
Yeah.
meeting. Oh, sorry, I'm late.
He's basically lumbered
made this
from
meeting.
Office Space. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna need you to stay, and could you work Saturday?
You need use your prescience to block the Muad'Dib. Did you do
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Just sit there in your tank and shut up.
Yeah.
Just keep
And-
popping
Edric.
Molly. I mean,
Or
spice
Edric.
capsules.
Spice cap.
Yeah.
In this, they I kept getting Edric and Scythale,
Yeah.
like kind of mixed up in my head a little bit. But in the first, or sorry, I guess this would be the second chapter, Princess Irulan, maybe it's because she's very sexually frustrated at this point, but they make a point where like as soon as she sees Edric, right? She's like,
how do you have sex with that?
does he fuck? Does that thing fuck? Is
Oh, yeah,
literally,
there
like,
is-
her
That's what
first
Scythale
question.
said. He was like,
Yeah.
now what she's thinking about is how does that thing do sex?
Yeah.
That's like literally the first introduction to like Irulan and this other character.
And you know, she's frustrated. She's like, I need to document all of this, but I can't.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right. She's a writer. She if they hadn't have had the Butlerian Jihad, she'd be a blogger.
She would have
Probably
a
very
live journal
successful.
or a dead journal.
Well,
for
she'd have a
sure.
Substack. I mean, she'd
She'd
have a
have a live
Substack. Let's be
mentat.
real. Let's just be
She'd have a
real.
live mentat.
Yeah.
She'd be like, okay, mentat, record this.
Oh, she told
Day
Bajaz.
one.
Well, she told Bajaz to do that, right? I mean, we're not there yet, but like, she'd just have him walking around, like, listen to what I said. Now go tell everybody
Yeah.
what I said.
Mhm.
So it's weird. My attachment to this character is only because of the movies, the TV movie in particular, like with all these scenes that never fucking happen in the book.
Yeah.
And I was like, I really like her. And then you get in the books, I was like, she is not in this fucking book at all.
Well, I mean, she's a
She's in
lot
this-
more in this book than she is in Dune.
Yeah, but like in the Dune movie,
For
like
sure.
she's in it a lot, and you're just like, oh, cool. And then she's not, and you're like, oh,
Also,
All
she's
right.
Virginia Madsen, so I mean,
oh yeah.
my goodness.
And we missed out on all of her narration, like after the beginning, where you're just like,
Mhm.
my father loved the Duke, was really sad when he died. He cried in his room. We didn't get any of that from her. Like, I still love Princess Irulan. Like, that's...
I mean, I guess you could say that, like, her entries and the histories, especially in the first book, because in the first book, most of the little blurbs that you get before chapters are Irulan.
It's all
They're either
Palazzo
from the private Bene
Yeah.
Gesserit histories or, like, the basic histories, whatever. Most of them are written by Irulan. But in this one, you get, like, a really wide variety. You get, like, you know, like, proverbs from that philosopher stuff that they taught the Idaho Gola, and like stuff from like the Tlailaksu,
Sansuni.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
And then you get the orgy as a tool of statecraft, chapter 3 of the Steersman's Guild, which is like, where did that come from?
They were fighting over who would write that chapter.
Yeah.
I like that Scythale calls the Reverend Mother a black rope stick figure, a witch crone seated in a floater chair.
I mean, that bitch is old.
He's got some great little zingers, and he's living his best life this whole time.
He's doing whatever he wants.
Yeah, he doesn't give a fuck.
Once again, correct me if I'm wrong, but the way that Scythale is described is that this would be a gender fluid character, correct?
Yep. He can change it at will.
Yes, he said, like, I'm not anything, like, I can be whatever I want, whatever floats my boat.
I know I'm using obviously we're using the wrong pronoun here, but I honestly, like, the whole time, I think this time and the previous time I read, I was kind of picturing Scythale as Grant Morrison.
Yes. That
just
makes sense.
Because Grant has that, like, I don't know, in my head anyway, reading their work, you know, like that playful mind, but just I pictured Scythale as bald, and you know, like
he was very empathic, in this too, where he's like, I know what I'm doing is horrible, and I don't feel good about this, but and we'll go into the chapter with Farouk and his son because there is a lot of house describing going on in that.
Let's talk about that.
We now know we're focusing on flooring and tile.
Tile specifically seems to be the home decor of the second book.
No filing cabinets.
Where once we had filing cabinets, now we have intricate tile flooring.
There were rugs.
Very intricate.
I know that somewhere out there in the Duneverse, there is a Bene Gesserit sperm bank filing cabinet.
Absolutely.
So in the comic book, we learned their breeding program was on a scroll, a very, very long scroll.
Just shots all over.
They're like labeled in Sharpie.
Yeah.
Like
they just scrape a little off. Is that how they do it?
Yes.
Okay. See if this works.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Oh, when they describe how they were like, well, what if we found the body of a very mangled Duncan Idaho? Maybe someone sold it to us. Maybe it was someone that, and they just keep doing like that. Maybe this happened. Maybe this happened.
Yeah.
Maybe the guild bought it.
Maybe the Sardaukar are a bunch of little freaks, and they kept Duncan Idaho's dead body just in case.
I mean, he killed like 19 of them or whatever,
he did
right?
Kill
like
a shit ton of them.
Like a whole bunch.
An obscene number, yeah.
They got to be like, when they got him down, finally, somebody had to be like, well, that was good job, dude. You did it.
You're like, I'm gonna turn him into a bearskin rug. Coming with me, pal.
Yeah. The beginning of this book, I would say, would be verbal judo, because everybody's saying something, countering it, and then being like...
It's very confusing, even for like a Dune reader. For someone that's it's maybe my third time reading this book. It's more than the second, but I haven't read it a bunch. But I'm still trying to follow this exchange. Like, he's like, I said this, and the Reverend Mother understood my true meaning, and I'm like, bitch, I didn't. Like, do you care to explain? Like,
I was even this Scythale's like, he's looking at Irulan. He's like, inviting the princess to share his viewpoint. She would, Scythale knew, see Edric as a repellent figure, the bold state, those monstrous feet and hands moving softly in the gas. She would wonder about his sex habits, thinking how odd it would be to mate with such as one, even the force field generator, which recreated for Edric the weightlessness of space.
I mean,
does she have to go into they have to have like a gas room then if she did that? Or like how would that work?
We cannot rule out that anyone in the universe is a monster fucker.
Oh yeah. Well, what's a monster? I mean, he just has a job.
Ooh.
He just has a job.
Oh, good point.
Yeah.
Do you want to get to another planet?
I feel like
Monster.
you're making my point.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yes.
totally. No, yeah.
So I feel like Scytale's making a lot of assumptions about how she feels sexually about a man with fins.
Absolutely.
Ooh, shape
they
of
have
water
to-
all the way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They already did this.
Yeah.
It's already
They
been
have-
It
done.
wasn't even a new idea.
Yeah.
They have to have Edric there because he kind of makes a blind spot for Paul and Alia, which, like, it kind of, they can see where he's been, but not what he's doing.
Yeah.
Or who he's with.
It's like something about how the spice prescience works is if you are another, I'll say extreme prescient, because like the Bene Gesserit have a degree of prescience, but it's nothing like the guildsmen and Muad'Dib.
Right.
And Alia, who is a little freak.
Preborn.
Yeah, so I'll say like the extreme prescience, the super prescience, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like
High test prescience.
they're blind to each other to a degree. Like they can see their ripples in space time, but they can't see them like they can see other people. I understand it.
I have this Brian Greene book. It's the physics of Star Trek, and kind of what I want with like what you're talking about is like the physics of Dune, or like the theory of why that would. Because I totally. There's a lot of stuff in these books I don't totally grok. I think I sort of fill in the blanks, and that's something where I sort of maybe think I understand. And we don't have to dissect it, but I think it's a cool idea, but it's also an idea that it's totally over my head. I feel
like it could work, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, when they start going to Irulan, like Scythale's like, you must make the choice, princess, but understand what it is that protects you. She's like, Paul's fair with me. I sent his counsel. He's like, yeah, in the 12 years you've been his consort, has he shown you the slightest warmth? She's like, he's like, deposed your father with his infamous Fremen horde, married you to fix his claim to the throne, yet he has never crowned you empress.
He's such a catty dude, He's just like, come on.
Like he's just smiling as he says it. And he's like, does it seem to you, princess, that Edric holds undue sway in our conspiracy? Edric's like, I've already conferred that I'll defer to the best judgment offered. And who chooses the best judgment? Do you wish the princess to leave here without joining us? Edric said. He's like, I wish her commitment to be a real one. There should be no trickery.
Yeah, good luck with that.
And when you're talking about too, the way it's all this verbal gymnastics throughout the book, I actually, when I read it the first time, I think one thought I had was it would make a great play. We always think of like sci-fi, all these sci-fi novels is like, oh, it should be a movie, right? There's not really a lot of like spectacle, right?
What if I told you we wanted to do, maybe I wanted to do a community theater style Dune where we just read all the parts. That was my idea.
Sure.
We did.
It's a brilliant idea.
Could I be Edric and like I want to give him like he has the accent of like a longshoreman? Like I feel like he's the only one with like a real job. So
with a real job.
He's in a guild. He like everybody else is just like
he's got that good
like a
union
9
job.
to 5. He's
one percenters.
Fucking guild liner.
Yeah, like he's got to go. Exactly. Yeah, they're all these 1 percenters, whatever.
Like, hey, listen, buddy. I got
we gotta kill this Muad'Dib. Yeah, we gotta kill this Muad'Ib guy. I don't know. I don't like him. He's just bad for my job, I think. Because that guy had that spice gas.
Fucking nepotism.
Yeah.
The price of spice these days.
Exactly. Yeah. It's really something with Steersman.
Yeah.
No, but I do think like it is like it's very small. I think that's what I've really liked. For me, it's maybe because I read the first 3 books, and this might be my favorite in a way, just because I feel like it's such a tight story and a small story,
it's like
big
a
world.
Episode.
Yeah, it's almost like a 1 episode of a show or like a 2-parter.
Yeah,
maybe.
It's like a very small bit
Children
of
of
like
Dune,
this huge history.
Children of Dune is kind of epic.
Yeah.
Again,
I love Children of Dune.
I love it too. I love all those first 3.
I kind of like God Emperor quite a lot.
I know I don't know.
It's the complexity of Leto and again him with the golden path that Paul would not. And Paul kind of Paul kind of starts alluding. He's like, I will not do the other one because, like, it's horrible and it will be the end of me.
Okay, but oh my God, all he does is say, I won't do that thing. And then he does the thing. And then he's like, my life is hard because I did the thing. And then he's like, but there's another thing I won't do. And then he does the thing. And then he's like, my life is so hard. I keep having to do things.
He's an anime villain, basically.
Ooh. I feel like he should have glasses and like do the.
Oh yes, with the glare coming up.
Yeah.
Well,
I will not give you a child.
He doesn't need glasses because later he gets the fucked up eyes. Yeah.
Very much so.
It's very tight, streamlined.
And I think that's why everybody hated it when it came out, because it's more political intrigue and, again, like conspiracy, verbal gymnastics. Like, it's everything in politics you hate.
It's all the diplomacy and the like bureaucraticness.
Well, yeah, and I feel like you have glimpses of these world building things that you get later in the series, like the Tleilaxu, like the face dancers, and then like Ix has been mentioned a couple times.
Yeah.
But they haven't really, so it's like you get like little tastes of this stuff, but I think that bit of the world building that you get so much of in God Emperor, like all this information about the different cultures and the different planets and like the different races and what they specialize in.
Oh, Scythale casually going, oh, we bred our own hit quiz on how to rock and we killed him.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Yeah,
like we're not going to unpack that. We're just going to, okay.
With
well, he did that to mess with the Reverend Mother. Yeah. Like, hold the fuck up. We have him kill himself.
Right. Because they're doing like the same thing, kind of like, but they're just like really cavalier about it over on Tleilaxu. Like they're just like, yeah, let's just fucking make a Kwisatz Haderach. Why not? Oh, too bad. He died because he went insane or whatever. You know, it's like.
Well. Now
which also I love that just some of the terminology like psychic poison. Like that's something that are great in these books. Like psychic poison, just say it. Like that's just a cool thing. Like that's like a metal band.
It's like infecting with doubt. Cool. Where the doubt just and Paul kind of starts going through that in this, where he's like, I know this is a trap, but like what am I gonna do?
Yeah,
honestly though, what the fuck? Because he knows it's a trap. The Gola is telling him it's a trap, and he's pleading with him to send him away so that, you know, this.
We got to unpack the whole Duncan Idaho.
Yeah.
Like.
Sorry,
God, there's so
unpack Duncan Idaho.
Ladies.
I don't remember what I was saying.
You were talking about how
the trap.
The trap and how Paul is going to Duncan Gola.
Yeah. So Paul knows it's a trap. Paul's not fucking stupid. Alia knows it's a trap from up in her little creepy peephole. The Gola knows it's a trap. I love that.
Yeah, she's just like, oh, look at that. Duncan.
I would watch from above. Yeah, so everyone who's anybody knows it's a trap. Yeah. But Paul is like, but what am I to do? You're not supposed to go for the trap, you fucking moron. Like, you know it's a trap.
But
and
doesn't
it's
that
worse
go back
because,
to what
like,
the Duke said in the first book, where he's like, oh yeah, it's a trap, but you got to spring the trap.
Yeah, there are echoes of things, I guess.
I guess that's a very good point.
But
and Paul knew that.
Go ahead.
Well, Paul, like from the beginning, knew that it was a trap, because when he had the conversation, or like, you know, in the first book, when he had the conversation with the Reverend Mother, like she basically like told him like, hey, like your dad is walking into a trap, and so he kind of knew all that. So maybe he's just hoping like, everything will turn out all right, I guess.
Well, Star Wars.
There's also, sorry, I was just gonna say there are also like aspects of. Even before that, he's like not seeing things, right? Doesn't he like say how he's sort of seeing these like black spots in his prescience, you know? So even before he's like told outright that it's a trap, he kind of knows something's messed up, right? So it's like this curse of, and it's really like, I think perceptive of Herbert to like realize, okay, I've made this like superhero basically. The only way to kill him is like get inside his head, right?
Mhm.
Which is like how are you gonna? You can't. He has this whole army of like fanatics around him. How do you kill somebody like that? You get inside their brain
Yeah.
and psychic poison him.
Dude, tarot cards. What the
Yeah.
fuck?
Yeah. Muddying up the time.
Yeah.
I feel like this would have been Frank Herbert's way of being like, I'm gonna do some merch. Like the company came to him and they're like, what kind of merch do you want for Dune? And he's like, I'm gonna push this shit out of some Dune tarot cards.
In that interview that Dan sent us, he mentions that about like, oh yeah, it would do really great. We could make that like the guy that he's talking to, like, yeah, we just make some money. While he's like
cool.
decrying Western civilization and like the way we like mess everything up. He's like, but I can make some sweet cash if I
But
sell
if I
these
had
Dune
some
tarot
cool merch, it'd probably sell pretty well.
Yeah.
I'll just have a little bit of capitalism.
Yeah.
I mean,
As a treat.
That's a
What's
treat.
funny is that one of the documentaries on the David Lynch's Dune 4K limited edition I just got, they talk about how like the movie did horrible and everything else, but they did the merch really well. Like David Lynch they couldn't even get him to do an interview for it. He refused. And
Yeah, I
He's
don't think
embarrassed.
he doesn't want to deal with that.
Basically said I did it for the money. And then like the first interview on the disc was like, this movie never should have happened.
I did want to say really quick before we move on from the Gola trap. I had the thought that like I've already said a few times that Paul keeps complaining about like his lot in life. Like he's like, what if I just picked up Chani and left?
Mm-hmm.
You know, or like
Yeah,
he's
outta
like,
here.
what if we just went back into the desert and we just acted like none of this ever happened? And he says things like, I just wanted to what does he say? He's like, I just wanted to be a leaf floating away on the breeze, or like it's not that, but it's something like
that.
just
Yeah.
that ridiculous.
But then
you
he
know?
goes, it would go on even without me.
Right. But so that's giving me the vibe that like he's already kind of over this. Like he's like, being Muad'Dib kind of sucks. Like I kind of just want to live in a cave with my Fremen wife. So I suspect that part of him taking the trap might be like some sense of like self-sabotage. Like he's kind of done with this whole shit show, you know? And he's like, yeah, I know it's a trap.
Yeah.
But what can I do? Like you kind of want it to work, don't you?
Yeah.
Like
he wants an off ramp.
Yeah.
He wants an off ramp. Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally read that too. Like where he's just like, it's the heavy is the head that wears the crown, right? It's the classic like, I'm so powerful.
When the trap, he goes, that's Duncan Idaho. And then the voice comes out and he's like, this dude saved my life. Like,
So one of the things that did bother me in this was the conversation between Paul and Duncan Gola, where it's like, what's your name? Well, what do you want to be called? Well, what do you want to call me, Daddy Atreides? You give me your name. Well,
it's literally him picking up a whore. He's just like, well, what do you want to call me?
What do you want to call me? Whatever you want to call me, Daddy. Like that's like the feeling.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I'm not, and I feel like it was
that is a good point.
So to me that part was so uncomfortable because like Paul knows that even if this wasn't like Gola of Duncan Idaho, to him it still is. Like he still sees Duncan Idaho, and I can't
memory.
Yeah, and in Hate is his name, Hayt, and he's like, well, do you want to be called? And I think he's trying to figure out in this moment, like how much of him does he remember, or like, is this a trap? That's like, is this Gola a trap for me because Duncan wouldn't do this? Like how much I think that there's that like power play going on, but it was still so uncomfortable because I'm like, just fucking call him like Duncan Gola and get over with it, man. Like Princess Idaho, whatever you want to call him, man.
I was sticking with Daddy Gola. I was just gonna I did a little, because I'm a nerd. I listened to a bunch of like,
really?
how do you pronounce these names, right? And one thing that there was a little sort of sidetrack on was hate, is a way that it's said, right? In the audio, is it an audiobook? Do they say hate? Yeah.
Hate.
So then, hate. So in some of the like looking into that, there's like hayat, which is an Arabic word, which means life, which is sort of fascinating that he would, Herbert would use that word because obviously like Paul owes his life to Duncan. And then also like he was like revived, right? He was brought back to life as a Gola. And so that deeper meaning, and I think that's important too, because, and it's all like, it's like subtext, because I don't think most people reading this in Analog magazine or Galaxy magazine or whatever they read it in, that first were like even would think of that necessarily, but it's like the layers of like, why is, Paul like this, like, simp about the Gola, right? Like, why is he why is he
Everybody
so
simps
like
over Duncan?
yeah, I mean, we know Duncan Idaho rules. Like, we all know that. That's like obvious because
if you're
rules.
an anime character, every time he'd like appear and be like, and
he'd be like,
yeah.
But just I do love that layers of, because it like really it's like why would this even work? Like, yeah, he's awesome, but like if Han Solo came back, would like Luke would that be Luke's downfall? No, because it's not like he's a cool guy that helped him out. It's like he owes his life to him in this way, and I think that's like maybe something that they sort of like hope that you get that. They don't necessarily. He doesn't necessarily like give you all of that in the book.
Yeah.
You have to have it. You kind of have
plans
to have
within plans within plans.
Sort of, yeah.
Even bring up Alia's of an age where his manliness will overpower her.
Ooh.
Like, literally, they say that's part of the book. Like, well, we'll get Alia the knife. She's gonna want to bone zone him. Like,
he is hot, though. We've established that. Like, that's really just the baseline of his effect on
she's
people.
in her little spy nest going, I don't know what it is, but I'm about to go take a bath and get naked and go up to a level 11.
And in that, when she's in that moment,
Chris knife up to the neck. What, like, is the sheath at her neck?
No,
it's gonna be naughty.
She's
wears
naked
it around her neck.
So it's on
yeah.
a chain, right?
Okay.
That's.
I imagined like a leather strap, but like
yeah, probably like
that.
yeah.
She, in that moment when she's like having these thoughts, she senses that someone is watching her and that someone is attracted to her, like sexually attracted to her, but also like reveres her. And then it's weird that the people who pop in are her brother and Stillgar. Sorry, I meant to mention that earlier because she senses like, I see these other people tomming on me.
Oh, the shadow guy. Is that what you're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Which you thought of Scythale the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So my understanding of this was like she has some limited prescience, and she's been seeing like the shadow, because the way that they explain things that they can't see in their prescience awareness is like a shadow, right? Like there's a shadow where the guildsman is, for example. He's in shadow, they can't see him. And she was describing that there's a shadowy man like on the edges of her prescience that she can only see when she focuses on something else, and then he's like on the edge of her vision. But if she tries to focus on him, she can't see him. So there's some man in her future that is hidden from her. I didn't read that as being at all related to them coming in the room. I think she was just thinking about that at that time.
Okay.
Because she was thinking about prescience and about the future and about like what all, these plans within plans. Sense, She was just thinking about things.
And then Paul's
feeling
just
a
like,
little horny. And
I didn't realize she was a full woman now. I was like, gross, stop.
Yeah, no, that's gross.
Well, she had the drone thing up to like 11 or whatever. So
11 lights.
Ooh. Yeah.
And she's like, you couldn't even do 7 or something like that.
Paul
She's like,
he's like, I tried it once and Gurney beat the shit out of me.
Yeah, Gurney like slapped
Paul
him.
just got it at 11, but okay. From across the room, Alia.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Chill.
But
yeah, he said that Gurney caught him at 10, and his punishment was so embarrassing that he wouldn't repeat it.
What could it have been?
I miss Gurney.
Stillgar is that alpha male though, where he walks in a room and she's probably like, oh.
He saw a wet, naked
know.
bitch fighting a training dummy, and he was like, "We got to get her a husband."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one,
immediately.
totally. Yeah.
She is a threat.
Classic.
She is feral right now.
Like, she is a danger to herself.
Yeah.
It's classic like uncle behavior, right? Like, ugh, he's got to do something about this.
One of the things that I feel about Stillgar in this is that he
hates
went
his
to
life.
and for good reason, because he was the leader of this like Fremen sietch, and then now he's basically a paper
Talking about
pusher for
taxes?
Paul.
Yeah.
Like,
He's Tom Hagen. I don't want to be like obviously a white dude and that's almost 40, but he's Tom Hagen from The Godfather. I mean, he's just like the guy that's like helping out, but it's not really part of the.
Well, he's probably just sitting there going, like, I wanted to bang your mom, and now I'm here. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, where's your mom at? Caladan?
Yeah.
Too much water.
like tell your mom I said hi.
Yeah, no, he's doing that every day.
I mean, the Fremen, you know, like Chani's been telling Paul they have to go back to Sage, like they're expected there, and she even says like you still belong to the Fremen, you know, like you're still ours. So I think that there still is, like, so far this book, so up to where we stopped reading for this show, this book has focused mostly on what they're doing in the city, and like the political
Pilgrims
machinations
versus the Fremen.
Right, the pilgrims. And so, like, the
Tourists.
Fremen, Alia is talking about how she can pick out the few Fremen that come to her temple thing. So,
The
like,
Quasar, I think they're called now.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that the area that they're in is not, like, the Fremen area. This is just where these Fremen that surround Paul have to go because
Paul
they're
doesn't
part of
leave the
his
keep.
household. Yeah, so, but there still is, like, a rich Fremen, you know, culture and lifestyle going on, and there's still that very important part of, like, you know, Stillgar and Chani's life that revolves around Muad'Dib, and like we'll get there in this book, you know.
Yeah.
Boy howdy, will we get there? But yeah, I mean, I think none of the Fremen appreciate this aspect of Muad'Dib's rule. You know, this aspect of
Muad'Dib doesn't even appreciate his own rule. Like, he's literally like, why am I here? Like, this is 12 years and, like,
I want to go back to Caladan. Yeah.
But that weird
and I think,
thing... Oh, sorry.
Well, I think because the Fremen respected Paul because he wasn't a bureaucrat. And then now he's just basically going and being a bureaucrat. So I think that they do resent him.
He's sick of pushing paper. Yeah, he wants to be a hero again, or what? Something else. Something that gives it. Yeah, he's just frustrated. Oh boy, howdy.
So like, even like they talk about Paul's apartment with Chani, like he's got weird shit in jars, like
As one
desert
does.
pharmacopoeia, onions, incense, mementos,
A jar
a pinch
right
of
now.
sand, a lock of hair from their firstborn who's been dead for 12 years.
Oh, yeah, that was dark.
That's awkward. Yeah.
And he comes home, she's like, coffee time, like.
And they mention,
Served in the pot from Jamis.
Yeah, of course they mention that it was Jamis's pot, but also mention, and I like that these little moments where they mention parts of like the culture or like the rituals behind it, and they mention that there's an extra cup for every previous owner, and I like those are the little details that's more of the book that I definitely want.
I still get sad about Jamis.
Yeah,
I still get.
That fucking speech. I hate that speech to no end. I did a dramatic reenactment last season.
I like that speech.
Oh,
kind of like it. Kind of like it. I'm a sap though.
It's just fine. like sad emo boy. Like, and your Jamis.
Well, as a sad emo boy, I really relate to that.
100%. I literally just had a Fremen like
as the target demographic.
Yeah, that's exactly the person that was aimed at.
Maybe it was because of the way the TV movie was. The TV movie reenactment was so fucking horrible. Like, Kyle MacLachlan in the movie did it horrible, and the dude who did it in the other Dune reenactment was fucking horrible. Like, it was literally community theater. My reenactment was better than theirs.
We could do better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh. Blueberry.
Let's do the community theater thing and let's get this going. Let's get this
100%.
once we're not in the panorama.
We have to go back to Piter then because like
Oh, yeah.
that's an awesome Piter.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yes.
It's just
Which it ruined it. I sent that clip in our group of Piter
him
talking
from
to the
Powerpuff
Baron.
Girls.
Oh yeah, I love that.
The Baron talking to the Piter talking to Baron. All I was hearing was the him voice. And I was like, that's not right.
But Baron. Yeah, they fucked up. Piter doesn't talk like that in the movie. That's one strike from me.
Ruined.
But I love Chani like going, look, you gotta knock this girl up and stop it. Like
Mhm.
we need an heir. Like, please just
Uh-oh.
put it in her.
She got Bezos again. That's what we're gonna call it now. Anytime Jen's booted from a live stream.
What's the
She's
goodbye version of howdy?
That's a great question. I'm from Wyoming. I should know this. It's not. I mean, it's adios would be the closest thing that like cowboys would say to each other, but that's obviously Spanish.
Yeah.
It's possible not to think about. And like 100%.
Oh sure, yeah.
100%. Like, Frank Herbert hated the Kennedys. Like, Paul is a Kennedy, basically.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They said that. Actually,
Yeah.
Brian Herbert
Not
says
John
it in the
Kennedy.
introduction in this.
Well,
Like,
that is
he literally-
no,
he
it's good.
said
Yeah.
the poison of charismatic leaders. He put him with Hitler in this list of people.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, if your criteria is just charismatic, you're not like going beyond that. Then
Doing bad in the name
You've had
of
a lot of
good, I
those.
guess, or what
Sure,
they
I mean-
considered good.
One, and I think that is something that it's like pretty much true. You can't really find someone that leads at that scale that doesn't have blood on their hands. But also just like that's the theme, right? It's like he's saying like again in that interview you sent us. He talks about like I wanted to give people just like I wanted to like kind of at the end just go zoom and then just have you like swoosh. Like he'll use this metaphor of like you sort of swoosh off of the story and then you don't like you don't have to think about like oh my god and then he like raised this army that killed 61 billion people throughout the galaxy. You're just like he won.
Jen, we have a question that we might need to start. What is the goodbye version of Boy Howdy?
Oh yeah.
Boy, howdy. I feel like I was gonna say I feel like it's kind of culturally appropriative, but maybe it's like an aloha. Or it's like hello
It does
goodbye,
both.
But
Oh, I like
There you
that.
go. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good.
I like that.
but maybe I'll come up with
Solid.
the goodbye version of boy. So boy howdy to me isn't necessarily like a greeting. Maybe howdy friends is. I don't know. Come back to me in a little bit. And
I feel like
Circle
Boy
back.
Howdy is a hello. I mean, it's
Yeah.
an agreement, but it's
Howdy.
a hello.
Yeah.
It's almost
It
the
could be.
aloha of hellos.
I mean,
Yeah.
more so,
Yeah.
it's an exclamation, though, right?
yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
boy howdy.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's its own episode, really.
Yeah,
It really
yeah.
is.
That's a deep
The
well.
boy howdies of Dune.
Can we talk about Farouk, sorry.
That was my favorite. That
How
was
do
my
we wanna
favorite
say that?
chapter. That was my favorite
Yeah.
chapter.
Yeah, I
The
think you're. Yeah.
The
That's-
music, the
hmm
Sabuda
Yes.
music. That
Yeah,
comes
Sabuda.
out.
like the drug music, right?
Yes.
Like, you're like
Mhm.
Loves
the
to do
music
that.
music addiction.
Yeah. So
Which when that Beyonce album when Lemonade came out, I was like, my
you
I
got
have
it.
this.
You're like, oh,
I got it.
guess
I know what this is like.
I'm
It's
addicted.
exactly like
I
this.
need it
Yeah.
to survive.
Well, when Lemonade came out, I was like, boy, Jay-Z must be having a rough night at home.
Well, also that's why I was addicted. That's the
Hey, girly.
See you, girly.
that's the nicotine in it. Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I imagine it more of like goodbye Lazarus. That's how it's dancing.
You're breaking
Like
up
the...
for me.
You're breaking up a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear
There's
you
a
now.
There's a steersman fucking with your signal.
They are. I was gonna say, it to me, I hear that as like a goodbye horses, from Q Lazarus.
Feel, feel,
Oh.
goodbye, home.
Yeah, that's the music that I hear.
Would you fuck me? I'd fuck me.
But sorry, Sid was going to talk about that
Yeah.
scene with Baroque.
Well, okay, so for those of you tuning in at home, Scythale, our face dancer conspirator, goes to visit a man on Arrakis.
As Duncan Idaho.
Yeah,
that's
face danced as Duncan Idaho for literally no reason. He just wanted to.
Well, he's
And then
hot.
he realized, like,
Thought he
right,
could get
yeah,
some.
because he's hot. And then he realized when he got there that, like, some of these Fremen knew Idaho, because Idaho was, like, the Atreides diplomat
Yeah.
to the
He
Fremen.
probably
He was-
fucking
he was
left
the-
and
And he
right.
was like, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't have worn this guy's face.
Yeah.
And then
Like,
lo
do you
and
remember when he
behold-
got that one war where he showed up drunk on spice beer?
It's like if you go. It's
He's
like if you're trying to go.
having a good
It's like if you're trying to go undercover in like America, and you're like, I'll just be Michael Jordan.
Right.
What could go wrong? Oh, you know who I am? No way.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Just a strange choice to
Yeah,
make,
just-
first of all.
He doesn't think ahead a lot.
No.
He goes with his name
I guess he
Zal.
doesn't have to.
No, he doesn't.
So he went to visit this man for Rock, who lives in what I understood to be the outskirts of
Yeah.
Arrakeen, which is the
Mhm.
city where Paul has his castle. It's not a castle.
Yeah, it's like his whatever
his keep.
palace.
His-
There's a keep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
He has
His
his
keep.
emperor's keep.
Yeah.
So he goes to visit this guy who was once a Bashar of the 9th Legion in the Jihad,
Mhm.
which sounds important. And
He was
his
one of Stillgar's
neighbor-
Siege to bar people too. No
Yeah,
less.
and he's
Yeah,
from Sage
mhm.
Tabor. Sorry, I say it so differently than you. It's because I've only ever read it.
Right. We only read
So
it. It's like
yeah,
a
it's just in
symbol.
my brain.
Yeah.
And his fucking neighbor was one of the Fadakin.
Mhm.
That's terrifying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't ever want to live next to a death commando from Watip's Jihad.
Probably not. Well, but maybe like when they're not death commandoing, they're just pretty chill. They're just like
I mean,
I don't-
maybe. But
like that's what I do 9 to 5. Now I'm just want to like have some spiced coffee and
Yeah.
hang out.
Think about
They're pretty chill.
Gurney Halleck.
Yeah, you need to be worried about the people that aren't death commandoing that maybe want to, like on the internet. You know,
Oh.
that's true.
those are
You
the
have a
scary
point.
people.
Yeah.
This was a really interesting Scythale chapter for me because
Mm-hmm.
just of how conflicted he kind of is. He's like, I don't want to really do this shit, but like, I'm into it.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris.
Maybe a little too into it.
Don't kink shame anyone into.
Is murdering people a kink?
As long as it's
I hate to
consensual
be
not an
told to
expert.
break this to you.
I'm not an expert, so I'll plead ignorance.
I did say Holiday Inn Express though.
Gosh.
Jesus
Wow.
Christ. Anyway,
It's okay, I
so
like it. It's fine. It's fine.
Scythale goes to visit this former member of the Jihad, this former Bashar
And
of
his
the
son.
Jihad, and his
Mhm, and his
son, who has coincidentally lost his eyes to a stone burner. A
Mm-hmm.
stone burner, for those of you following at home, is like a small version of an atomic weapon that
Mhm.
is allowed under the no atomics rule of the great houses. For some reason, they can like get around it.
It's like the loophole. Yeah.
It's a loophole. I
Yeah.
think maybe it's used
It's
for
like-
construction or whatever, but like it's a
just a
it's a
little
nuclear
guy.
weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, he got too close
Controlled.
to a stone burner.
Mhm.
Right. Lost his vision, and now his
Mhm.
eyes. He's got the fucked up
Burned
eyes.
out eyes. Burned out fucking eyes.
I prefer fucked up eyes.
Yeah.
Which he
Foreshadowing.
can't get a Fremen woman.
And
Mm.
even
Remember
even
this, it might come up
Scythale-
later
Even Scythale is like, why did he just bring up stone burners?
because he read the book.
You can't get a Fremen woman because he's incomplete.
Can't get a Fremen woman because he's got the fucked up eyes.
That's why, yeah.
And his
That's-
son
same
is
thing,
addicted to
that's
this
why-
Namuda. Can't get a
Mhm.
Fremen woman.
No.
Yeah.
It's a common problem. I mean, neither
Weird.
can I.
It's just
I'm
I
sure
But
there's-
does he look like?
sorry,
Duncan,
you're making a
though?
really smart point. I just keep making dumb jokes. So
No,
just
no, you're fine.
for it.
I'm not making a
Show's
point. I
about.
just think it's interesting. Like, we meet this guy who has
Yeah.
made the choice to participate in this conspiracy against his prophet, you know, like his god that he literally followed into a galaxy-wide jihad. Like, and then he goes on to explain that he went to all these other countries and fought and won battles and
Missing an arm.
arm. And he explained that, like, so I honestly really didn't understand this whole bit with the sea. So he says that one of the reasons that he joined the Jihad as like a Bashar was because he heard of this thing called a sea. And he explains that, you know, they have wind traps and they can conceive of like rivulets of water. And so from that, they can conceive of like, you know, a canal or maybe a river. He's like, we've never seen these things, but we can like perceive, you know, we can conceive of them. But like a sea, like water in such amounts that it stretches to beyond your eyesight, like is incomprehensible.
Yeah.
So he heard of this thing and the opportunity to see such a thing on other worlds, and he joined.
It's like the eighth wonder of the world. They want to see what it is, like, because they've heard about it. Yeah.
This is relatable so far. This is fucking relatable, right? So he goes and they go to this planet. I don't remember which one it was. It doesn't matter. And they win the battle. And then they, you know, crest this ridge. And there's an ocean. There's a sea. And he goes into the sea. And
drink the water and get sick.
And it tastes nasty. He's like, oh, it's not for drinking. And he sees, you know, like bits and bobs. Like he sees a corpse from like, you know, the people that they were fighting. And like
the creatures under the water going by him.
Like, and there's like a bit of yellow cloth and whatever. He's like describing very random specific things that were in the water. And then he explains that like all of these things were there like for him to see so that he could come to this realization in the water that like he was done with the jihad.
Yes.
I don't get it.
I found it. The mother of chaos was born in sea. A Quizara Tafweed stood nearby when I came dripping from the water. He had not entered the sea. He stood on the sand. It was wet sand. With some of my men who shared his fear, he watched me with eyes that knew I had learned something that was denied to him. I had become a sea creature and I frightened him. The sea healed me of the jihad, and I think he saw this.
He said the sea healed him of the jihad.
Yeah.
Like it changed him because of this new experience.
And then he became a sea creature. And then he tiled his home in the manner of a sea creature.
So much tile with sea creatures on it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so last season, like, it was kind of a joke because of weirdly, Frank Herbert starts talking about fucking filing cabinets randomly in the middle of this cave with bats in it.
In a cave.
In a cave. Cannot stress enough how much we are in a cave.
With bats in it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's the draperies and the rugs. And the rugs are like a metaphor for a lady's presence because, what is it? Doesn't, like someone goes to someone else's cave and they're like, your rugs are dirty, bitch. Like, clean your home.
Oh my god, I totally forgot about that.
Yes, it was Janice's wife that Paul would take.
Shit. Yeah, Janice's wife says that Jessica's rugs are dirty.
Your shit's dirty. She's
like,
clean this shit up. I'm out.
Your rugs are dirty, which is clearly like a metaphor for like get your house in order, literally and figuratively.
Like, get your shit together, woman. Like,
so in this,
you think you can command a sage? You've got dirty rugs.
Every bit of tile has sea creatures on it. Which they go into fucking great detail. I'm like, god damn, like Frank Herbert loves fucking like house stuff. He must have been just like, I need to put flooring in my house. I'm looking at tile. I'm at the early equivalent of Home Depot, and I'm like, I'd like some seahorses on this shit. Like, how do I make this happen? You got a Kraken? No? All right. Whew.
It's like George R. R. Martin with Home Improvement.
With food.
Yeah,
with
the way
food.
George R. R. Martin does food, he does interior. He does like an episode of an HGTV show.
Decor,
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Cindy and I are supposed to do a buddy read Oh, sorry.
No, go.
Cindy and I are supposed to do like a Game of Thrones read through because she's never read it. And I was like warning her ahead of time. I was like, listen, you're gonna see some pornographic shit in it or read about it.
Yeah,
But he's gonna go into detail about fucking like chicken wings.
He wants to fuck that food. It's the chicken wings and the lemon cakes. He talks about the lemon cakes and with
The
like
sausage.
dripping with honey, dripping with honey.
Sounds good.
What I was going to say is that, thinking about Frank Herbert's, not only did he had a failed career as a journalist. And that's what spawned Dune, was because he didn't cut it as a science journalist. Well, maybe before that, he wanted to be an interior designer as well. Failed at that.
Yeah.
Failed at the science journalism, and wrote the most important. Yeah.
He just had all this latent knowledge.
I'd love to see him come in his ear.
Of furnishing.
Honey, you need to have desert motif. Let me tell you about the ecology of the planet.
Oh yeah, he's gonna come in there with
the lady going, could you get the fuck out of my house?
Yeah.
How about sea creatures? Hold on, let me get into this.
Let me sell it to you.
Get out.
Yeah, let me tell you a story about when I was on this planet.
Scythale in this discussion with Farouk, Farouk's like, he's got every gate guarded. There's no way into the Emperor's fortress. And Scythale's like, it's a weakness. And Farouk's like, no, there's like no way in. He's like, yeah, no.
Yeah, I got this.
I got this.
He's got it under control.
My heart had a little twinge when they were talking about how Paul has that secret little landing bay where where only he can land a thopter.
He has to pilot it.
Only he's a good enough pilot. And he was like, the Atreides always were great pilots. And I was like, the Duke.
The Duke.
And they bring up that Duncan Idaho trained him how to drive the thopter.
Right, yeah, right.
Yeah. But the Duke.
It's a real flex.
You
don't get that. Flex. You don't get that in your despots very often.
You could just pilot a thopter right into my bedroom, except you fucking can't, you plebe. Like,
damn.
Go for it. Give it a try.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
That's the second time plebe's been used today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't, but you could if you were me.
Oscar Isaac could.
Go for it.
That is how I feel about my garage door sometimes, because our van is a little wide, and so I'm just like.
So I have a question, Sid.
Okay. Whew.
Would Noah accept Oscar Isaac being your one? Your
Absolutely.
Free pass?
Yeah, I think he'd give me more than one.
I was gonna say one.
I think that's a universal. Everybody.
Oscar Isaac doesn't count.
Yeah.
So like the video of him as Moon Knight doing fight training popped out. I was like, okay, like there's one person who needs to see this.
We enjoy that together.
I was like, Sid here. And
everybody
she's like,
that.
Is this real? Is this really happening?
I didn't know that he really got cast at Moon Knight. I thought I was fever dreaming.
Yeah. I think he felt the same way.
Yeah. Thanks,
Oh,
babe.
yeah.
I like thinking every thought is unique. I guess to you, yeah, they would be. Like to anybody, like your first thought, you'd be like, yep. And then you go on Twitter, you're like, nope.
Yeah, no. Nope. And some you're like, you wish that they weren't even there.
So like
Scythale, unthink that.
Yeah, please unthink this.
So one of Paul's trusted people, Othium, they get his daughter addicted to Samuda music.
Samuda, yeah.
Which is off-world, and then Scythale's like, okay, cool, she's my way in. Kills everybody in the room with poison darts. And he's like, come here, baby. Using Farouk's voice and then morphing into him.
It's such a messed up. Again, that would be like a great, I mean, minus the special effects that you would need, I guess. But you could probably do it with some creative lighting. But a play, you stage that as a play, like it could be amazing because it's just feelings and words, you know?
Yeah, you make a very good point. There's been no action. Like nobody's driven anything. Nobody's had a fight except against a training dummy.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
boy, that fight was up to 11.
Yeah. I was up to exactly,
Dripping wet.
I think of that scene like a red wedding.
Like a what?
Imagine Reigns of Castamere start playing.
Oh, sure.
Oh.
Yeah.
I also like that they describe Alia as wet. It was like, okay, like
Yeah, again, just
she's 15. Like,
I have notes. I just have notes. Again, this was in a magazine. Like somebody read this and was like, "Yeah, print it." Like before it was a
it
book.
went past several people. Yeah.
Well, they were all 50-year-old white guys. So
exactly.
They're like, yeah, it seems fine. Look,
yeah,
they don't read
like,
this.
of course, the older brother finds the younger sister attractive.
Yeah.
She's 15.
I also need to read from the words of
Muad'Dib.
Empires do not suffer emptiness of purpose at the time of their creation. It is when they have become established that aims are lost and replaced by vague ritual. Thank you, Princess Irulan. I know you're still mad about not getting the dick, but
she's not wrong though. Again, not wrong. Great writer. Could have been, she should have gotten over this guy and been a writer.
So rarely does she actually say something though.
I mean, it is.
I would be her cuck. I'd be like,
wait, do you have conspiracy theories? Do you have conspiracy theories about her as she has a ghostwriter? Because like the things that actually come out of her mouth when we see her are not like the book she's written. Like there's somebody that's like Shakespeare and whoever.
It's gotta go through a few drafts.
Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe that's what it is.
But to your point, she's basically like the words of Muad'Dib from the sayings of Muad'Dib, and it's like she's literally plotting to like kill him, basically.
Oh yeah.
Like we're gonna find out she's J.K. Rowling. She can write really well about one thing and then be shitty at everything else in life.
Like being a person.
You don't want to hear her thoughts. You just want to hear her stories.
Could you go back to your Muad'Dib talk? Because I don't want to hear this other shit. I don't know. Like I'm kind of over the whole Muad'Dib. I'm gonna get a new name and I'm going to do this mystery book that's gonna be terrible. Could you go back to the Muad'Dib stuff?
Those should have been the tertiary books. It's just the works of Irulan, the steersman's guide. Like I have because I'm a Star Wars guy, so I have like the Jedi Path on my. I'd buy the orange Catholic Bible.
I would buy the
pretend like I read all of it. I would pretend like I read all of it. I'm not gonna.
You know what I found recently on Spotify is I found I wanted just a playlist of background music that was from Skyrim. That was the Skyrim background music. And what I ended up finding was there is a podcast that actually went and read all of the books from Skyrim. So it's basically like Skyrim audiobooks.
You can read them. That's right.
And so that's what I want. Is that I want Princess Irulan audiobook podcast.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe that's our side project.
There we go. Yep. Yeah.
From the notes of Princess Irulan.
Before you get off the Empire thing, I did again in the interview you sent us, Dan. There was a great thing which I think sort of ties into probably the themes of the whole story. But there was a quote where Herbert is saying, "Ecology is the science of understanding consequences," and I think that also plays into Paul's dealing with the consequences of becoming, Jesus / Stalin, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, and it just gets to him going back to being a sad boy because he's
he's tired.
This kind of sucks. We killed all these people. I didn't do it, but my friends did it, and they love me. But it sucks being loved this much when I can't even give my lady a baby. And this other lady wants me, but I don't really like her because she didn't really write those books, or she did, and she won't shut up about it, or whatever it is.
She keeps
whatever's going
misquoting me.
Well,
it's
I also don't think people understood how much he seeded in that first book, because really the last read through, we started realizing how much of the later books he started seeding in that first book. Just little drops here and there. And even in this one, he kind of starts with his own deconstruction where he's like, what am I doing? People are just going to kill people in my name no matter what. Mm-hmm. But there's this other alternate route I could go, which is real bad.
Yeah.
Not really going into it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he took drugs so that he knew that would all happen.
The golden path.
Another great lesson of the story.
Yes, children.
Do drugs?
You got a
Drug
big decision to make.
I mean, it's not really an endorsement of hallucinogens because of what happens, but it's I don't know. Maybe
You can navigate the galaxy, apparently, if you just keep popping Molly pills.
Yeah, you turn into some kind of frog person, though, and have to live in a bowl of gas.
Yeah, but a ship
And then-
captain?
You get a good union job out of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We don't have those anymore.
Mhm.
Yeah.
A tradesman.
Yeah.
So, like, I gotta say, like, the biggest part of, like, when they bring Duncan Haight to the court is the weirdest fucking chapter in this whole thing, because Paul is just like,
Yeah.
I love this dude, but man, he's a trap. I don't know, like,
He's a thirst trap.
and then Ollie is just like, I don't know what's going on, but I might bone this dude. I don't know.
He just
What's your name? Who's your daddy? Like this weird ass power play.
You have mechanical eyes. What are they doing?
What did
Like-
I see?
It's so weird, and like,
it's
all I can think about is like, if Spock and Kirk hooked up, this would be it. This would be the moment.
I'll be right back, folks.
I think the prime directive 17 times. I also what was the test of the
Kobayashi.
Kobayashi. Yeah.
I cheated the Kobayashi Maru. Maru is be like, I created it. Like, literally, I feel like that's what's going on. He's like, I'm kind of into him, and I'm kind of not. Like, Alia, what do you think?
Will
I'm
they or
dripping.
won't they?
Yeah.
Alia's just in her little spy perch going, something better happen soon, or I'm going to pounce out of here.
He's like, I
better
need a
kiss.
fucking bath.
I am 15. I need a bath, and I'm about to go to level 11.
She literally
Need
needs
a
to
sword
take a
fight and
cold
a bath.
shower.
Yeah,
Get your science scouter out, because I'm about to glow.
she's going through it.
But I
In
felt
her
so
dark
bad for
spot-
Stillgar.
Sorry.
Her dark spot.
In her dark spy hole, Alia trembled. It was
I
Idaho's
bet she did.
voice. A quality of sound so precise she sensed the imprint upon her cells. Yeah.
Imprinting. Twilight.
Mhm.
Is Jason Momoa the guy that can embody this? How do we
He
feel
is the
about?
alpha himbo you need.
Yeah, I
He's
mean,
it.
I do feel like the more I sort of reflect on that character, I'm like, yeah, I think they pretty nailed it. I think they pretty much nailed it. I don't know who else you would get.
When Twitter erupts because he shaved his beard for the role, it's a win.
Well,
Like, there were
I wish,
housewives everywhere crying.
which, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I was crying.
I think that they could play, like, if ultimately we do get to see like a Dune Messiah movie,
Yeah.
I think it would be fun if they just played on a sense of absurdity, where like instead of Jason Momoa playing the Gola, it's like Vin Diesel or like
No.
just some other like
Oh, no,
The
my
Rock.
gosh. There's you're saying that there's like effects from being a Gola. Like it's not like it's Duncan, but he looks different.
It's The Rock, but with the black
It's the-
curly wig.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're like,
And then like
Yeah, they
"That's
just give him
Duncan."
and then maybe
he just keeps getting bigger. He just keeps getting
Steve Buscemi
Like,
would be
in
my
every
Scythale.
direction.
just this like he's 9 feet tall and 800 pounds of muscle by the time we get to
They're like,
Children of
that's
Dune.
our Duncan.
it's like, okay, we gotta
Yeah.
like
Today.
I was thinking that it just perpetually, like, it goes from like Jason Momoa to The Rock, and then just progresses to
Yeah.
like Vin Diesel, like the whitest person. Like they use melanin every time.
And then it's like in God Emperor. Eventually it's just like it's like Chris Pratt.
Yeah,
Chris Hemsworth. Like they're like, fuck it, put the Chris's in there.
Just put the Chris's in there.
We're gonna have him with some
we need
abs
4,000
and a
years of
torn
these
body.
boys.
We're gonna have a himbo worm.
We need all of them.
Himbo Worm. That would definitely be, if they could sell that. That's impressive.
It's the Jabba the Hutt character from
Oh,
Darth
yeah.
Vader. The Hutt that has a
Pizza
butt.
the Hut.
With a
It's,
butt.
he's
Oh, the Hutt with a
something.
butt, yeah.
Swallow the Hutt. Because
Swallow
he's
the
like
Hutt,
a Hutt, but he's got
Yeah.
abs.
Right. He's like somehow, yeah.
Like he's thick.
He goes to
he's so-
Bali. He goes to the Bally's that's on Tatooine.
Yeah.
More like Planet Fitness. He's like,
Yeah,
man,
he's-
I'm gonna get swole.
Right,
Nobody's gonna
he's
make
not-
fun of me because this
He's
isn't
not
one of those
pretentious like
ones.
that. Yeah.
Not
He
one of those
wants
ones where you keep making noises like.
He's there for the community.
Yeah.
So like, there's nothing more in this book I love more than Stillgar sitting at the table, like, hey, we have this proposal, and then Paul and them start getting into it about the child.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he's like,
Mhm.
Yeah, and then 5 minutes later, Stillgar is like, still got this fucking paper
Yeah,
for you to
Still
sign.
gotta do this.
yeah, he's
Yeah,
like,
good
so the
job.
taxes on the Telatsu, like, what are we doing?
Yeah, what do we do with this? We
I
still
don't
gotta sign
care
this
where
book.
you drop it as long as you drop it. Like, I don't like her, but like seriously, like there's some tax paperwork that's gotta be filled out.
Yeah.
Why the fuck am I here?
Yeah.
It's kind of like every episode of The West Wing, right? You're like, Jesus Christ, like Sam needs you to do something, Bartlett. Just get your shit together, and like, you're the fucking president.
There's like, oh, there's Paul's 15-year-old sister. Oh, why is she naked working out? Like, why am I here
Yeah.
again? Like,
Yeah.
why am I not in Caladan with your mom?
He's like,
Can someone
you
get
Oh,
that
need
bitch
to
a
sign your
husband?
tax forms. You need
Yeah,
a
totally.
husband. You need to go back to Sage. Y'all need to
If-
get your shit together. Still going out.
This- yeah,
If
Literally.
we could just have those TPS reports ready for me
Yeah,
by
he's just-
Monday.
I-
What was the thing? Irulan percentage, like the brother and sister should hook up. I was like,
Oh right,
stop.
yeah, they do. They get into that. They get
My mother
into
said,
yeah.
yeah.
Ooh.
Preserve the
She was like,
bloodline. I
well,
was like,
Irulan, you
That's-
failed us.
It's very pragmatic and like what the fuck at the same time is like, well, if we can't make this work, maybe just hook them up. And
Yeah.
like
Problem
Irulan should be there, like spread open with like
she has
the
prescience.
lights going. Come on, like I'm here. Like no,
And then
Alright.
when they and like I
One
kind of
more.
forgot until you guys brought it up earlier, but like they plant that they're like, maybe incest would work, and then you get the scene where Paul's like, I didn't realize how much of a woman she was, and you're like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
you're reading it for the first time, you're like, wait, they're not gonna do that.
Those
Right? That's not
Harkonnen
gonna-
genes popped in.
Yeah,
He was
dude.
like,
Yeah.
mhm.
Oh, God.
Level
Real-
11.
That's the thing. Like these books are weird, and that they're making a giant movie of just the first one, which is maybe like the least weird, but still very weird, is amazing. And to think that they might try and like,
the least weird though.
yeah, that's what I mean. It's the least weird, but still weird. There's weird shit in there.
Chair
Well,
dogs.
Still,
Yeah.
oh, chair dogs. We're not there yet.
Chair
We're not
dogs
on
aren't.
chair
Yeah,
dogs.
we're not. We have yet to breach the chair dog territory.
Because that
That's in
that is
Children of
Sid's-
Dune, right?
That's Sid's favorite.
Is it?
No,
I think
no,
it,
chapter
no?
house. That's,
Chapter
I've heard about
House?
this, but
That's when Sid's favorite character gets involved.
Miles tag.
Sex nuns.
oh,
Yeah.
oh, that's right.
Modern
I've heard about
matrons.
this. I need to get to
Who
those.
just-
I've heard about the sex nuns. I've heard about the.
Who just chased Miles Teg around like, come here. No.
Hey, can't blame him. Look, I honestly think that Miles Teg is like what a Kwisatz Haderach is supposed to be.
Should have been.
Like, yeah, that like he's the true Kwisatz Haderach. Like, you've read it. He's
I love
fucking
Siona.
Superman. He goes
I love
around that
Siona.
whole fucking planet and like faster than a speeding bullet. He's like, let me just take care of all these honored mod. Nobody else is doing this shit. I guess I gotta do it on my own.
I really like Siona.
Siona's rad.
So when Alia decides to
People are
start
like,
killing
I don't remember
Stillgar,
this in the first 100 pages.
Yeah, like what are we talking about?
when Alia starts talking to Stillgar about Prescience, like she's like, well, sometimes there's mountains in the way. And he's go,
That's very
well, you got to cross the mountains to get in the dune.
Dude, I thought that was a really good one-liner.
Yeah.
So, just to explain a little more, I don't even know if anyone's watching, but
They'll see it on the replay.
But so Alia and Paul are talking about the limits of their prescience.
Stillgar start doubting them.
Yeah, so Stillgar, who
right.
doesn't see prescience as like a scientific, phenomenon, he sees it as like magic, witchcraft, like. He's like, are you saying that like there are things that you cannot see? Because he doesn't understand how like this godlike power can have such a limit. So Alia explains like, you stand in a dune and I stand on a crest. So my vision goes farther than yours. And in my far-reaching vision, I can see mountains that I can't see beyond. So, like, she explained it to him like that, which I thought was, like, a really good way to explain that to someone.
Yeah, it's a good explanation.
And then,
but that wasn't her original thought. One of the other Bene Gesserit behind her came up with that line like 1,000 years ago.
Right. But she gets to cash in on it.
That is true. That is true.
Well, Paul gets pissed because he's like, only Stillgar would ever talk to me like this.
Hey, I mean, he's fucking earned it.
And they talk about it like Paul, like every one of those meetings, he's pissed off at somebody. He's just like,
he's such a little brat. But anyway, so Paul or Alia or somewhere is like, we must be aware of danger that could come from behind the mountains. And Stilgar's like, yeah, but it has to cross the dune before it gets to the crest. And I was like, ooh, my man Stillgar dropping the one-liners.
Yeah, because Alia's like,
they gotta get through me first, Alia.
Yeah, Still's tight.
Yeah, Alia said all power is limited and danger may come from behind the mountains. Stillgar said it's something of that order. Stilgar's like, but whatever comes from behind the mountains must cross the dunes.
Stilgar still got that boy Stillgar. Yeah.
They got that big still energy still.
Still energy.
He's basically like, they've got to get through me first.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. And now, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but they said he's graying at the temples.
Ooh, a little salt.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, Hedrick's favorite place now, I think.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, this wasn't one of the most action-packed parts of the books. And honestly, the book isn't that action-packed. It's a lot of political intrigue. It's like a Bond movie almost.
Ooh.
Yeah, or more West Wing.
It's even less like, it's very like, it's like, it's kind of like a weird West Wing episode, or even, I mean, it's like soap opera too, right? It's like just relationships.
It's like a drama, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a really low. I mean, it's like a really low action like episode of like Next Generation or something, or like where you're like, there's weird shit going on, but it's all about feelings ultimately. Like there's this,
But they reference again plans within plans within plans, which it's always threes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I like refreshed myself on like the whole plot before, like I didn't read any further than where we were reading, and I like remembered. I don't know if we want to like get into it where it's going. I mean, we're not like spoiling, but like what sort of Scythale's like ultimate plan is with the Gola is like what? And it almost feels like Herbert's like, well, we gotta do something else now because he's gonna knock that one down and he's gonna knock that one down, and then this is really the plan, and it's just kind of wild. Like it's ultimately like, look what we can do.
I feel they brought it up early. It's just doubt within Paul. It's psychic poison.
Yeah.
It's just whatever he's already feeling it worse now.
Yeah, but it's about what he offers Paul in the like 11th hour of their right. It's like that. He's like, see what we can do. Ta-da! He's just like, it's like he's selling you Tupperware basically, but he had to like threaten your empire first to get you to buy it.
We're gonna keep it real fresh and airtight.
He just needed that opportune moment.
Yeah, really.
Really good.
Now that I've crushed your life, you want to buy this
Gola
of. Yeah.
Do you have time to talk about our Lord and Savior?
For people that don't know,
trying to reach you about your car's extended
warranty. He's trying to reach him about his Thopter's extended warranty, and he just can't. That's the only way to do it.
We talked about the original Dune book, how the first 100 pages were kind of like insulting you, like if you start. Do you feel this is almost in the same route of like, if you know, you know, but if you don't, it's kind of like.
I only feel like that basically with the stuff with Scythale. Because like Paul's not up to anything. There's nothing that's like the first 100 pages of Dune, like every other sentence contains something that you don't know what the fuck it is. You're like, what the fuck is the Landstrap? What the fuck is Chome?
Sure,
What the fuck is this great house? What is this planet? What is this resource? Like there's just so many things that you have no fucking context for. You just have to pick it up as you go along. And there's nothing like that in this book for me. We know all of these characters mostly, except for, you know, like Scythale and Edric. But even Edric, like, we already knew of the guildsmen. We already knew of them. Face dancers are new. I don't think those were mentioned in the first book at all.
No.
But it's a pretty basic concept. He can change his fucking face. He's a face dancer.
Yeah.
The big thing is they're genderless.
Yeah.
Or multi-gender.
Yes.
Pan
fluid or
Pan-gender?
Yeah, pan. Is that a thing? I don't know. Maybe that's not a thing.
I just think gender fluid.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah, that would
I think that
probably
makes more sense.
Because he says, like, at one point, like, I'm showing myself as male right now.
Yeah.
This is what I'm choosing to be.
Totally. Yeah,
he can change at will.
Yeah.
Every aspect of his being.
I do want to say, so on Facebook, I'm part of like a couple of like Dune groups, and there's a couple on there. I forget which one it is, but they have had like a rallying cry among like trans fans of Dune, basically like, and I love this. Like, you wouldn't think of this from a like straight white guy, homophobic, who hated his queer son, to be like writing these things that identify with queer people. And it made me think of like everything that's going on with J.K. Rowling, because how much of her work identifies with so many people, but then it's like she's a TERF.
Well, this is like, I mean, that's a great point, because that's something else with like, so like Ender's Game is one of my favorite books, and Orson Scott Card is a big trash human.
Yeah.
You know? However, his books, if you read them, you probably could become a not trash human by adopting some of the morality you learn in them. And it's really fascinating that, like you can sort of like inadvertently put an idea out when you yourself have terrible views, and it's kind of weird, because I don't think he even realized. I mean, also like sometimes I think people would present, like Herbert's probably presenting something like that as like a freakish thing, or like, isn't this crazy? But, you know, you're not in control. Once you like write it, you're not in control of how somebody sort of thinks about and processes it. And so someone will like then process it in a way that might even be contrary to your intention, and you just can't do anything about that. And so like, but yeah, that's a great point. It's like you know, creators can't control that, and sometimes it's good. You know, like, you know, they should just be like, okay, I made it, now you take it, and you know, that's how it should be, probably.
Yeah.
Or we should never hear their inner thoughts. That's another thing.
Yeah.
Like, just give us books, and then don't have Twitter, please.
So I was at San Diego Comic-Con when they introduced the Ender's Game panel for the movie. And that was right after Orson Scott Card went on his fucking rant.
Oh God, yeah.
And like the executive's like, he got paid once, he's never seeing another dime from it, so whatever happens after this is up to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You buy the books, that's on you. He gets that money. If you see the movie, he sees none of it.
Yeah. Don't watch the movie, it's bad.
See, that's
another
that's another, I mean, it sucks to hear. It's good to hear that, because you're like, I don't want to give Orson Scott Card any money, but then at the same time, it's like, that's why like Jack Kirby's heart was broken, and that's why we're seeing all these creators go to Substack.
It's a mixed bag for sure. It's totally a mixed bag. It's more like just like, maybe if you're a creative person, we just want your work. We don't necessarily want you to, like, you're not important. The work's important, but you should get paid, and you should have, you know, you should gain.
You're basically
things from your work
to a lot of people. You come in, you do the work.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be like that. You should benefit from this thing you put yourself into, but we don't always want to hear. Because also, like, maybe you're just better at expressing yourself through the thing, your work that you're doing, and not through, like, you know, some offhanded idiot statement you made, right? Like, that's another thing. Like, it's hard to communicate. And if you're good at communicating in one way, like it's better for us to maybe try and avoid the way that you're bad at communicating and try and embrace the way you're good at communicating. And and you also don't
if you're good at like making songs, like don't make a Twitter post about your cousin's testicles.
Yeah. Great example that has nothing to do with that you just, I imagine you totally created out of whole cloth.
Yeah.
Because that could not possibly be a real thing. But it is.
Oh my God.
If you're a creator, treat other creators equal. Don't fuck them out of money.
Yeah, be nice.
Sorry, Rick Remender, I love you, but what you did to the guy from Scumbag was shitty as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you had to remove your Twitter because of it.
He didn't remove his Twitter.
He did.
He brought it back. It's back.
He brought it back? Okay.
He deleted a bunch of, it goes back to like, a month ago.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't relevant like to this thing, so I don't know if you guys want to explain this to me, but my understanding of that situation was that everything was agreed upon at the time, and that people on the internet, all they saw was that this person's not going to receive royalties, which was his choice. He chose to leave the project rather than to delay it, and he still would have gotten royalties.
Well, he got cut out from all his royalties.
That they came to was
he got cut out from everything from issue 1.
Yeah. Well,
he got paid for the work he did.
Yeah, he got paid for the work he did. Yeah.
Like, people are saying, like, Rick Remender doesn't pay his artists. That's just untrue. Like,
well, I know, like, God damn it. Sean Gordon Murphy came out and defended him, but unfortunately, Sean Gordon Murphy, anytime he speaks, everybody rips apart anything he says.
I do think to Sid's point though, like, I think you're right. It was probably like a big digression because this is a different show, but but I think you're right. He did get paid, but it did sound like the working relationship was bad, regardless of the monetary compensation.
Basically, it was health issues.
I don't think that's a reason for us to crucify him as an artist, because he had a rough relationship with someone, and they had to compromise and end their professional relationship. In a way that they both agreed upon. You might not like the ending. Anyone on the internet might not like the way that went down. Rick Remender probably doesn't like the way that went down. Like, things can get sour, and I think that probably they did the best thing that they could in that situation. And I think that people are really, really quick to demonize people on the internet these days. And all they saw was that person's not going to get royalties, and they're ignoring the fact that, like, he literally left the project.
Yeah, I think you're right. Exactly. I think that was like, it was a poorly handled thing. It was something that was poorly handled privately, and then it was dribbled out publicly to people that didn't
the artist came out
understand it correctly. That's what I mean. Yeah. Like, he said something, and he can have feelings, and he can be, and like I have a rational
about the situation. Like, I'm sure he wanted it to go differently. I'm sure Rick Remender wanted it to go differently. Shit doesn't always work out the way that you wanted it to, and that doesn't mean that Rick Remender is a horrible person that doesn't pay his writers.
Like,
and I
the
don't
end of
like
Seven
when
to
people say
Eternity.
things like that.
Yeah.
Like,
did you read it?
I think that's a good. Yeah.
No, I haven't read it yet. You didn't
Well,
like it?
I hated Scumbags so much.
Which is also totally valid.
I stopped reading Scumbag.
I read the first issue and I was like, I don't need this.
Yeah.
This isn't for me. But I'm going to read the last issue of Deadly Class.
Yes.
I don't know what that sound is.
Yeah.
Or the last volume.
I've got to get caught up on everything.
Yeah.
But anyway, I've taken it upon myself to defend Rick Remender from this particular situation.
Well, yeah.
You've got it. When they come back from the mountain, they've got to go through the dune first.
They got to
go through the dune.
Don't worry, Rick Remender, I'm in your fucking dune.
The dune is,
man.
The Dune is reading literally 3 more articles about whatever they saw over the mountain and understanding, I'm a little mad, but that, whatever, it's fine. I'm not going to like destroy this person.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm going to be insufferable for the next part of this because of my Irulan feelings. Cause like you
mean for like the next show?
She put herself in a bad situation and it just keeps getting worse. Yeah. She's basically Lando from Empire Strikes Back. Like, pray I don't change the rules again. Oh,
some Lando vibe. Yeah, totally.
She's a little Lando.
She probably says people's names wrong too.
I don't know.
Ham.
I don't really know why. I have zero sympathy for Irulan.
Yeah, I know
Well, no,
why.
once it gets revealed,
I'm with you.
once she reveals to Chani what she's been doing.
Yeah, I mean, that's fucked up.
I mean, she already revealed in the book she's been fucking making her not
Yeah.
be virile.
Fertile.
I want to
Yeah.
know what the fertility diet is. Like, what's
Making her
in
Yeah.
what's in it? Like, what do you eat? I mean, what do you eat on Arrakis anyway? But what do you eat to? What's
All
the fertility
spice.
diet?
Just sand.
Just
Pineapple.
sand. It's just sand. She's just eating sand now. Oh. Ah, okay.
I do have a question since we're near 2 hours.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
So for the next, are we going to do 2 more episodes? Or are we going to do 1 more episode and just do the last 200 pages?
I mean,
It's a
I'm
330-page book.
I'm up
Yeah.
for either. I think it would be fun to do 2 more. I kind of like breaking it into smaller chunks, but I'm
Okay.
totally fine just doing 1 more. If that's
Oh no,
what you
I just
guys
wanted to
prefer.
check with you guys before we make any decision, because like I know for a while it was like Cidnya, but now I think Cidnya is like completely out. And so
I would
it's up-
also, where would that put us with the, like, if we do another 100-something pages and meet again in 2 weeks, and then do another 100-something pages and meet in 2 weeks after that, that'll be like a week before the movie.
Mhm.
yeah.
Not that
And
it
then,
really
like-
matters, but
Well, like, we're very critical, I think, to the success of this film, though. So you gotta, like, you do need to factor that in.
Yeah.
Like, if we don't say go see this and you're primed
So
because
225.
it might not make $1 billion.
Page 225 in this would take us over the 3/4 mark.
it better start off with a quote from the CH Orgy handbook, hand job book.
Well,
No.
the end would be from
It's a
the
Paul
Emperor
quote.
Paul Adib. Production growth and income growth must
Oh,
not
yeah.
get out of step
Okay.
in my
Oh, it says
empire.
economics treatise or whatever. The really
There's
sexy stuff.
always room
economics.
for an orgy. I don't know when the orgy happens in this.
Like,
There's always time for an orgy, though.
Like, hopefully it's not 12-year-olds going at it like it was in the last one. Or, how old was Chani in that? Was she 14 or like I can't remember.
I think I mean, they're teenagers. You know, they're like
Yeah,
'cause
she
I
was a
think they
youngin'.
said Paul was
Paul's
16.
14, right? 14 or 16.
I thought Paul was 15.
That sounds right.
Because I think that's what
I think you're right.
Alia is in this. He's like, oh, well, she's 15. She's a woman now. I was like, oh, because he's like looking at her. I was like, could we not go down this fucking alley right now? Like, she has, what do you say, copper hair like her mother.
Mhm.
Wow, also a necessary detail.
Yeah, and then he's like,
Yeah.
and she's supple. And I was like, stop.
Please stop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get out of this guy's head.
What page are we stopping at in this book?
So in that one,
225 in this one, but I
I
think it's like 223 in here,
yeah,
right?
it's 223 in the green one.
Yeah.
So the
Okay.
quote is production growth and income growth.
Yes. Because we really want some talk about industry.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We've been missing that.
I'm hoping for more tiles, personally.
So we went from sea creatures. I'd like to see a little bit of sky.
Mm-hmm.
A nice
Although-
sunset
Yeah.
motif.
Yeah,
A little
sounds-
bit.
yeah.
I think rainbows would be too much.
Yeah. For sure.
Well, there's no rain.
There's so many songs about rainbows too. You don't need to.
Oh, I'm sure that Samuda music was all about rainbows and.
That's what I'm trying to like imagine what it really sounded like. Like, is it just like?
It's
So,
just dubstep.
That's what I was
music-
gonna say. Yeah. Is it just...
a music that addicts you. A music that addicts you, and like, of course, like the blind sun is just going off on the ballast set.
Wailing
like,
on a balisette.
I was like, "Where's Gurney?"
Yeah.
Gurney be like,
Oh yeah,
I got one
love
for you.
Gurney. I love Gurney.
This is about-
I want to grow up to be Gurney someday.
This is about a
It's
lady
my-
on another planet. I don't remember her name. Called Lady from
Yeah.
Another Planet.
Like to hear about it. Here it goes. That's for the old.
Song by In Vogue. It's called "Free Your Mind." The rest will follow. Leave this from the aughts.
That is the thing also that I like. I don't know if you're trying to close this out, but you know, struggling with the fact that all culture that we've experienced exists pre this, right? Because you know, this is us in the future. And just to think that, like, you know, any of that stuff could be like who was a Bene Gesserit? Because there were Bene Gesserits now, right? We don't know who they are. Who are they? We could speculate about that, right?
Jen.
Maybe that's in your Facebook group. Yeah, Jen, are you one?
Yes.
She has the tattoo.
I do have the Bene Gesserit.
That's
All I
right.
have is
The
the
litany.
litany.
I knew it.
And Sid has the
It's
litany.
like not being very subtle about it.
Is your YouTube channel just part of the like the plot?
Yeah.
Is that just the okay?
It
It all makes
is.
sense now. It all makes sense.
What I want to know,
Everything's clearer.
I want to check tile sales for the year this came out and see if there was like this.
They goosed it a little bit.
Jumped.
I see like a 3% increase. That's
Like the magazine that this was
Suspicious.
published in, were there lots of like ads for home improvement?
It was like interspersed.
so.
Yeah.
I actually not to I was
Oh my
gonna. I
God.
don't know where to pull this in. This is not
Just in time.
Galaxy, which I think Galaxy is where, but I do have a copy of Analog Mag. This is the beginning of part 2 of Dune. This is the Analog magazine
Like
that it was
book
printed
2
in.
of the original
Yeah.
Dune.
Yeah, it's like the
That's
second
cool.
half of Dune, so Prophet of Dune.
Cool.
Oh.
So I collect these, you know.
We had
Weird shit like that.
we had a filing
But
cabinet surge at
this
the
is-
end of 1968.
That's the kind of thing, and it's very. There were really no ads in there, is what I'm trying to say though, and so I'm just like wondering, like, missed opportunity of the.
Yeah.
Because some of these magazines, you know, they had a hard time, and I'm just thinking like, they should have tried to sell ad space relevant
Yeah.
to
They really should have banked in
like
on that.
filing cabinets, whatever, you know.
Frank Herbert probably bought stock in these companies.
Oh yeah.
I
I'm
want to get
totally
Brian
gonna-
Herbert on here so much and be like, hey, so how much was your dad in a home improvement?
Okay.
Yeah.
He's probably just like, oh man, all the time, just
All the
constantly. Yeah.
Interior
How many
design.
filing cabinets are in your home?
Like,
Now or then?
we had this sky blue tile.
Yeah, we had a backsplash every year. We had a new backsplash every year in our kitchen. Absurd.
I literally, he'd be like, I don't know why these people had me on and didn't want to talk about the book.
Yeah, they just talked about
exciting.
tile the whole time. Sometimes they like that. Sometimes they like that stuff. They're like, yeah, they just
Yeah.
asked me about tile.
What
I didn't
kind
even
of
talk
rugs
about-
did you have?
I didn't have to explain what CHOAM stood for or like anything. It was just really.
Do you have a Brita water filter? Like, I need to know
I
these.
swear. So this is my conspiracy theory. I suspect that every time, because there's once in each book that they say what CHOAM stands for. I think it's different each time.
I think you're right. I think it's like SHIELD in the Marvel universe. There was a long time where it's like, wait, that's not what it said 2 years ago.
You're like, surely
I think
that
it's
can't
just
be
like-
right.
I think
Like
you're
those
right, yeah.
words don't have, they mean nothing.
Yeah.
So,
Throwing darts at a dictionary.
Yeah.
we're
Like
almost
We
to the-
need a C.
he just didn't even want to look it up. He was just like, whatever.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
They'll
almost
change
to
it
the-
in post.
We're
Yeah.
almost at the 2-hour mark. It's almost midnight, so I think it's time to end.
Only 9 o'clock here. How are you talking about?
Yeah.
What did you-
Thank
I'm
you.
exhausted.
oh no!
Jen's just like, fucking, I'm gone.
Damn.
No,
Thank-
the
Harsh.
guildsman got her.
Oh,
It's the black spot.
wait. Can I plug my thing? So-
Yeah.
If you like Dune, which if you're watching, you should
Dune-tober.
do. I did an art zine of Dune drawings, mostly inspired by. I realize now I said the novel Dune, which implies the first one, but really this goes through the first 4. Even though I haven't actually read the 4th one, so don't tell
What?
anybody.
We'll get to it.
Shush.
You can
I'll read
just
it.
Wiki
But-
notes that one.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, it's a big worm talking to his buddy, right? Like that's the book.
Squishing
Right?
him.
Yeah.
But you can buy that if you want. It's on my Etsy. I realized the listing actually had expired, so I refreshed that just now. I don't know. It had to know when I could fulfill orders. So you go to my Instagram, you can find the link, and you can buy that. And I probably now will add a sticker to
Ooh.
my.
Is
if
that
you
a
buy
Chris
one.
knife?
Yes, it is.
And a little
Wadib.
chocolate mouse.
Yeah.
Wadib.
Very cool.
Little cutie. So yeah.
Thank
Capitalism.
you everybody for watching after all this time, and like welcome back to the Dune Over. This we talked a lot about, honestly, political intrigue and nothing.
And getting D.
Well, I get set up.
Yeah,
but I'm
there's
not-
a
yes,
lot of getting
D.
D.
That's a big point.
So if I were to sum this up, this first quarter, it's thirst.
Which is fitting for
Thirst
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
thirst and unhappy with your job.
Desert planet.
But not a lot of water spilling, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
No, not a lot.
Not at all.
Not enough
Almost-
to satisfy anyone's thirst.
No. Yeah.
We have an alpha himbo returned from the grave.
Thank God. Fine. Thank the maker.
Yeah. There is also a plot to steal a worm.
Mhm.
Make your own spice.
It's not related to the first thing you said, though, which is funny.
No, this is a different worm. A whole different thirst. This is part of the Great Conspiracy.
Yeah.
That apparently they
Right,
didn't
that
fill
was-
Irulan in on a lot of it.
She's just a
Oh.
scribe.
We also didn't talk about her in the jail, like madly doing Bene Gesserit talk with the Reverend
Briefly.
Mother.
Touch on
Little
it
bit.
briefly. Yeah.
Reverend Mother basically is like, "You're a fucking disappointment. Go away."
She's everybody's mother.
She's like, you had
Like, I'm
your
not mad at you.
chance. Now he's got to fuck his sister.
Yeah, he's gonna
She's
have
like,
to
I don't
fuck
have
somebody
time for
now.
you.
And she's like, no.
We
Dude.
thought you were attractive and like worldly, but you're just the pain in the ass that likes to write.
Hmm.
So this, no.
She's like,
Doing the gestures like yeah. So
cut it out.
sister so now we're gonna have an abomination of an abomination. So good luck. By
So
the
many
way, I
abominations.
was on a ship in the sky and they took me off of it because some motherfucker recognized me because I guess I'm a stick figure.
She's the crypt keeper.
That's right. Yeah.
Literally.
They were not flat. They were not nice about her, how she was.
So
Very,
we will
very
see
mean.
you in 2 weeks. And we'll be
Woo.
reading up to page 225 in this version, 223 in the other version. I will post the screen cap of the next chapter on when I list this. And thank you, and good God, thank you for keeping up with this. And take care, everybody. Goodbye.
Later.